Good evening, all you creatures of the night, and welcome back to the It Records podcast. Today on the podcast, we're going to be doing a mini episode. It's been a while since we've done a mini episode. You guessed it, it's an episode, but just truncated, a little shorter. And we're going to be talking about a certain idea or topic within the genre, rather than just dissecting one full movie. So what we decided for the podcast this week, we are going to do a subgenre. It is ghost movies, ghost stories within the horror genre. So we're going to kind of talk about movies that we like that do this and discuss what we think works. But we're doing the ghost story subgenre. The crowd goes wild for ghost stories. Yeah. So, I guess before we kind of, maybe we can do this within our explanations of our movies, like really kind of what a ghost movie is and how I think maybe it differentiates from like a haunted house.
Yeah.
And unless maybe you see them as kind of the same thing.
That's a good question, and like a good point to bring up is there's a lot of crossover between the two, I would say.
Yeah. They go together often.
Matt, do you want to get things started with the movie you picked?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll start off with my pick, and I think I'll just tell you what I picked. It's Dark Water is the American name for it, but I'm really kind of speaking about the Japanese version is the one I would like to speak about. I cannot pronounce the name, but it translates to something similar to Dark Water. I watched this one several years ago, actually in college as part of I think it might have been in the horror class, or it was in a Japanese film class I took. But this one, it follows a single mother and her daughter, and they're in a new apartment complex. And what basically starts happening is a water stain begins kind of increasing in the corner of the room, and it seems like there's this small child that's kind of haunting their apartment. And I chose this ghost story because I feel like personally I get drawn towards the J-horror or those types of ghost stories. I did a Tale of Two Sisters for the podcast. I chose that one. I also like Ringu. I just think what I like about those compared to maybe American style ghost stories is that they're always very atmospheric, where they build they're great about world building and making the environment seem as if it's the ghost, similar to a haunted house, but it's always a particular spirit or entity that has suffered some sort of grief or traumatic event, and really it's always reaching out for someone who lives there to come and help them, but it's also simultaneously kind of haunting them and scaring them. And in the end, you always sort of have sympathy for that ghost trying to get its redemption, but in the end, you have sympathy for the victim. As in Dark Water, spoilers alert, the mother ends up dying in that apartment with the ghost that lived there in order to protect her real daughter. So there's like this sympathy for the ghosts in those films. So that's Dark Water, and I'll cut off my time there, but that's why I like the, I guess, Asian ghost stories one.
Sure. I guess I'll talk about The Entity from 1982. And the funny thing about this movie, before I get into it, has a lot of similarities with the Poltergeist, like an unbelievable amount. And I think this movie was actually made first, even though it came out in 82, because Poltergeist came out in 1980. But I think there was a book about it. Let me look to make sure. It is based off something. Yes, it is. It's the book from 1974. It's and it's loosely based off a real story. I don't know if the Poltergeist is or not. I can't remember, but I'll give you a little summary too to give you more of a background. So Carla Morgan awakens one night to find herself being beaten and raped by an unseen presence. Terrified of what's happening to her, and shunned by her friends and family who think she's lost her mind, she seeks help from a parapsychologist The researchers soon discover that evil spiritual force has been drawn to Carla and is responsible for the violent attacks. The question now, however, is how do they stop it? That's a little summary from IMDb. And I think what kind of drew me to this one is that a lot of these ghost stories around this time, I feel like it was really hard. Like, once the Poltergeist came out, it kind of was hard to top that, really. I mean, you had Steven Spielberg, even though he produced it, but I feel like he really directed it. But that's my takeaway. Even though the director was Tobe Hooper. But that's really a Spielberg movie. It has his flair. But anywho, that's a different story. This story is much darker. I feel like Poltergeist has like lighter moments because you got Craig T. Nelson. Even though he's not funny, I think he's just like a really likable person. And then you have like a loving family. You know, they're just trying to like live a normal life. And then it's been a while since I watched Entity, and I remember I thought it was about a single mother. I'm pretty sure. So it's like more of a dysfunctional family situation, pretty common of the 80s, especially in the movies. But like, it's not like happy-go-lucky. It like kind of starts off pretty dark, and like it goes darker, and is done very well. I was surprised because like it was done really well. The special effects are good, and it didn't have like the name power as the Poltergeist did.
Yeah. So, I'll take the reins here. Okay. So, for me, I picked The Sixth Sense. So, it's already been 20 years since this movie came out.
Did you say 20 years?
So it's kind of easy to forget, for me at least, that it was pretty big. Yeah, 1999.
Okay, sorry.
I know. It blew my mind.
You guys are
This
old.
You're the oldest of all of us.
Okay.
It's true.
Yeah, I guess he's turning 28 this year, not Matt and I. Just,
at the very end of the year. December 31st, 2 in the morning, I'm turning 28.
That's right. Yeah, but this movie was pretty big at the time of its release. I think, this is when M. Night Shyamalan was up and coming as a director. After all, this was before Unbreakable and Signs. So we were kids when this came out. I remember some of the hype back then and not being allowed to see it, which created more intrigue for me. I was literally obsessed with the idea of this movie, so that's why I chose this one, is because that's what I think of when I hear ghost stories. And I was 14 when I finally did watch it. And for me, I did not see the twist that M. Night would eventually become notorious for coming. There are a lot of people out there who say that they did, but I was not one of them. I just want to be clear about that. So the major players here are, of course, Bruce Willis, and then a young Haley Joel Osment, and Toni Collette as his mother. I think it's really Haley that shines here as a boy who sees ghosts, and Bruce Willis is the child psychologist trying to help him. I like that. Yes, of course, it is a supernatural horror movie. That's the main focus here. But this movie does a good job of touching on other elements and themes like love and loss and sadness, faith. And also the use of the color red in this movie. They use it as kind of those subtle hints as things that have been tainted from the other world. We see that again in 2004's The Village. So I think they incorporate that in this movie very well. And it was considered a sleeper hit, and it was really like the massive success that jump-started M. Night's career into what it is today. I think as far as weaknesses go, some might say the twist. Like I said, that's not true for me, so I don't really know. But I guess that brings me to, what do you guys think? The first time you watched it, did you see the twist coming, or were you surprised?
I don't think I saw it coming.
I already knew about it before I watched it.
Okay.
I don't think I knew about it.
What
when I
was
first
that, Matt?
watched it. Well, 99 would have been seven.
Okay.
7 years old. I don't think it was spoiled for me.
Yeah, barely alive.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, and I was like
Did you watch it
8
then?
or so. I feel like I watched it when it was like the trend. Like it was big when it came out. People were like, "Oh, you gotta see Sixth Sense." I remember being scared, so I was definitely pretty young, like 8 or 9. I feel like I saw that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I watched it for the first time when I was like 22.
Really?
really?
It was the first time I watched it. Like,
Yeah.
I watched it super late. And because, like, I knew about the twist, like, I just didn't
Yeah.
seek it out. And then, finally, my friend's like, no, dude, like, you should still watch it. And, like, even though I knew the twist was coming, it's, like, done very well. Where, like, you kind of forget about it. Like, and, like, I still, like, got chills down my spine, even though I, like, knew it was coming.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah, it's pretty subtle writing where I think you think that Bruce Willis is gonna die at the beginning, but then it kind of cuts to him leaving an apartment or something, kind of walking down the street. So you're like, oh, that was the past. Now we're moving forward, and you kind of just forget
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that little plot moment.
Yeah. That's one of those movies you have to go back and watch and just pick up on everything that you
It
missed.
just sucks that back to M. Night Shyamalan, like, he started off so good, and then he kind of just, like, went, like, you know, like,
That's true.
he started off really strong, went down, and went back up, and went back down again.
I like to act like he's been just so renowned all this time, but I mean,
Like, I would put
what's the last movie that he did that was good? Split?
Split, I would say, is his last. Like, that movie is really
Okay.
good, honestly, and then, like, for me,
Yeah.
I didn't even bother seeing
I thought
Glass,
Split was
because Glass didn't really interest me, and it kind of seemed like I was right with reactions. It just didn't live up. Like, it was too big of a, I think, it probably shouldn't even been included in the universe. It's just trying to capitalize on, like, because Marvel and DC are doing it. It's just like, let's just do something else. You know, you don't have to immolate, like, mega million blockbusters to make a good movie.
Yeah, you could just make like a finite movie. It doesn't have to be a part of some other universe of films you've already made.
It's like with, like, fucking, Warner Brothers making The Mummy, and they're like, oh yeah, they're laying out the groundwork for, like, a Monsters universe, and it totally bombed, and now they're not doing that. It's just like, well, make a good movie first, then maybe you could build on it.
Then build from there instead of a remake. Yeah. I think there's some interesting choices for the ghost story subgenre, and they're all kind of different in their own little pockets. I think mine almost teeters on that we mentioned the haunted house to ghost story, how they kind of blend together. Usually if you have a haunted house, I feel like at some point a ghost gets involved, a supernatural force, a demon or something,
Yes.
in the haunted house. But a ghost story, as in like the Sixth Sense and the Entity, don't have to reside within a haunted house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But vice versa. If you have a haunted house, you're probably going to have a ghost. But if you have a ghost, you may not have a haunted
And, like,
house.
mine is kind of, like, similar to, like, Insidious and, like, The Conjuring, where it's more about, like, a demon type creature.
Mhm.
And, like, what's interesting about the Entity, I feel like it attacks, like, the parents, or, like, the mom. So it did. I thought in, like, Insidious it attaches to, like, the kid, right? And then The Conjuring it attacks the kids more so than the parents. I guess the parents are get attacked too, but I feel like the kids are more of a target.
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe it's because
Yeah, in the Conjuring, the first one, doesn't the mom get possessed at some point in like the basement?
Oh yeah, you might be right. Yeah, you're right.
So it does have that
That's true.
element to it.
Never mind. I don't know. I was trying to make a weird comparison, but it didn't work out.
Well, does that sum up the sub-genre of ghost stories for this mini episode? Got our picks in.
watched them all because they're. I mean, I like mine a lot. I haven't. I mean, obviously, I love The Sixth Sense, but I haven't seen yours, Matt. And I'm not too crazy about the J horrors usually. Like, I didn't like Ringu.
Mhm. Yeah. Did you like The Ring?
I like The Ring a lot.
Well, it's the same director, right? But he did an American version.
I believe so.
I think so.
It's a little
It is a
different.
Is that-
yeah.
It's a little.
I don't know. There's just I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know why I didn't like the Ringu. I just thought it was really boring. And then
Mm-hmm.
I thought The Ring was just like really well made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would recommend Dark Water. I didn't. There's Jennifer Connelly American version, which I wouldn't recommend. You can watch it. I remember going to see that movie in theaters when it came out. I was like in 8th grade, I think. I went and wanted to see that movie a lot.
Yeah, you were
It's
young.
it's all right, but it took me until college to see the Japanese version, and I thought that was really good. So that one would be. It's the same director as Ringu, as
Okay.
well. Pretty sure.
I think
Yeah.
my problem with, again, I haven't given J horror a real shot. It's just really Ringu was like, and like, I don't even know if I've seen the original. What's the other big one that was like remade?
The
Yeah,
Grudge,
I've seen the American Grudge, but I haven't seen.
the Pulse.
Yeah, and then the only thing I could.
Ju-on?
Bunch of them.
Is that Ju-on
What?
Which one?
that you're talking about? Ju-on? The Grudge?
Yeah.
Oh, the Grudge. Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
I'm like, oh, I actually know what you're talking about.
And then there's another movie, but I might be confusing it with a different genre. But I've seen only. I don't know. I actually know if it's J horror. Actually, it's like taking pictures, and you only see the ghost in the pictures. Shutter. That's what it's called.
Yeah, that one. I believe that is a J horror movie.
Is it? I couldn't remember. I thought maybe it was like Thai or something. But that one's real. That
could be
I've only seen
correct.
whatever country it comes from. I've only seen that version, and it's very good.
Nope, you're right. Thailand. Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, I don't know why I knew that.
The Eye is another. That's the other one I was thinking of that was remade from J horror
Remember, they used to remake those all the freaking time.
from like 2001 to like 2010, baby.
I was like, that was a 2000s thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like nonstop. Well, I think that'll conclude the mini episode for this week. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to try to do this kind of consistently, mini episode subgenre, and kind of give you some details of what its significance is and some of the elements within the horror genre itself. And as a teaser, I will say the next full-length episode that we will do is The Innocents, 1961, so you can watch the trailer or read up on it before we do it. That is also a ghost story that we are going to do. But until next time, I'm Matt Johnson, and I'm going to be sticking around in those shadows.
What's so good about those shadows?
It's so quiet. It's so peaceful in there.
No one bothers you.
I don't get any interruptions. I don't get any calls. I don't get any... Nobody comes, so it's great. I can get some work done.
Drink your coffee.
Yeah. Drinking
Hey,
a nice
that
little
doesn't sound
coffee. It's
bad.
cozy.
That's all I got. I just want to know. You're always in those shadows, and I just wanted to know why.
I
It
can't
was
find
time
it.
for explanation.